podcast. My name is Alexa Joe, or Alexa, or what's my name to you? Because to a lot of people on the island, my name is JoJo.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Alexa.
Okay, yeah. So to Sarah, I'm Alexa. And today I have my lovely friend, and we're here from the big island of Hawaii. And I'm so happy that you agreed to be on my podcast.
Yay, me too.
So
I'm happy to have you over here.
Yeah, so fun. So start by, who are you? What do you do here?
I'm Sarah. I'm 22, and I just live here, honestly. I don't have an occupation. Like, I just have random jobs, and I don't put myself to one title, so I just live.
I love that. That's why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because I think that perspective on life is so cool. And like we were saying earlier, because I just came over to, you live on the other side of the island now.
Yeah.
And so we were just kind of talking about the contrast of it and how people over here just are like, yeah, I make enough money to pay my rent and do my thing, and that's great. Like, I'm just living. I don't.
You don't have to be in the hustle culture to live on the island here.
And that's something I really love about living on an island.
Yes, I know. The slow, like, Sunday drive kind of life.
Every day of the week.
Every day of the week.
Every day Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I really appreciate about island life. And what keeps drawing you back?
Just like the like serendipitous feeling. Yeah, that's how I would put it.
I like that.
I haven't used that word in so long, but yeah. It's very blissful, and honestly, just like the vibrant energy of the island brings me back, and like the colors, and honestly, just seeing a sunset and a sunrise, I'm completely happy. Like, I don't need anything else.
Yeah, and the sunset tonight was insane.
It was so crazy.
We were looking at, I have to post something.
We were looking at a holographic, like, cloud formation.
Yeah, like it looked like an oil spill.
It was like a disco ball in the sky.
It was so good.
But spread out.
Like, I kept wondering if I was tripping on something, because I was like, why is nobody noticing? It felt like everyone around us were just chilling.
They were just chilling. I don't even think they saw it, but it was
so good.
It was so cool. Yeah.
And that's something I love about Hawaii, is watching the sunset. It's like one of my favorite things.
Me too. And every day it's different. And there's so many different colors. Every corner you look at, there's a different kind of hue, and they
last so long.
They last like 2 hours.
Especially on this side. Yeah. On Hilo's side versus Kona. Yeah. If it's a nice day, which we lucked out today.
We lucked out so hard.
Such a perfect, beautiful day, and my mind on this side of the island has changed.
Yay! Like, I know, the sunny days change your mind here, like.
For real. Because
really
it's just that every time I've come to this side, I was downtown and it was raining.
Yeah.
So it would be like, okay, well,
jungle, rain, and cloud, and like, dark.
Like, I came over here to go to a certain beach, and then I couldn't, so I was like...
Yeah.
But the places that we went today were so
cool. There's so much more, honestly. There's so much more to see, but...
Yeah, and even in the time I lived here, I thought, I've done all the main things to do here, but then you never will have.
No, you never. There's always little
paths and little hikes
ponds and oasis like spots,
little pools to swim in that are blocked through lava rocks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I love it here, and
me too.
And obviously, this is where we met. And we just kind of
where we met.
Do you remember how? I think
we met at a bar.
Yeah.
It was salsa night at Gertrude's.
Oh yeah.
It was, and I was with a couple friends, and you walked up looking all cute in like this. You were wearing like a cute little, I think it was a dress.
Maybe.
I remember. And you were at the table with a couple of my friends, and I came up and found out you were about to leave in a couple of days, and then I think we all got a picture together. I don't know who took it. Yeah. I don't know whose phone it's on, but we all got a picture. Yeah.
That was a fun night. That was one that a friend of mine just was like, hey, let's get some girls together and go out. And
yeah.
Let's do it. I still want to meet people.
And then we exchanged contact that night. Yeah. Never saw you again. And this is like the first time back.
I know. Actually, do you remember I saw you one time when I was driving I was in my convertible, so I had the top down. I was like, Sarah!
Oh, I do remember that.
Hey, we're going to go do this. Do you want to come? And I was like, I'm leaving the island tomorrow.
Yeah, that was. I do remember that. But it's like that when you come here and you stay for a while, like these beautiful people come and go, and you have like the glimpse, like a little glimpse of experience with them, and then they just leave.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just love your energy. And then we, of course, followed each other on social media. And I get your humor. You get mine.
Yeah. I like look at all your posts and I'm like, this is like in my vision board. She's doing it right now.
And you're doing mine because you're still living in Hawaii.
Yeah. It's so cool to just like see the inspiration from like someone that you know, and it's just so cool. Yeah, you're like a legend. You're like famous to me.
Not a legend. Oh my god.
And then like I saw your the blog, and like I went into it and like read literally every post like one by one. I was like in my bed at night. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And instead of like going on YouTube and seeing what someone else is doing and how they did it, it's like I get to see someone that I met do this stuff, and it was like, it just gave me like this possibility of like, oh, I can do it too. Like, it was so cool.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're like this big guide, like this big sister guide.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for reading them. Just like even
and
visiting
honestly,
the website.
They're all more helpful than most of the blog posts that I've seen, because it's more personal, and like you can like feel your experience through them and what you're trying to like how you're trying to give advice out, and like how you told your story, and like it's just so cool. Yeah, it just feels more interactive and like more personal.
I think that there's so many travel blogs out there that you can read that say, oh, these are the best spots to go in this city and all of that, and I use them. Like that is no hate to those types of blogs or anything. And maybe I'll do some posts like that too. Yeah. That's just not my type of writing. Yeah. I've done it before when I was doing writing in college and everything. And
it's like bullet pointed.
Yeah, I just felt like what I learned really well from is other people's stories and experiences, because you can get the other stuff other places.
Exactly.
So I'm so happy to hear that it actually is like something that resonates with you and helps, because you never know.
No, yeah. And instead of like you just saying, oh, this place is cool, this is what happened, you like tell what you did and like how it made you feel, or how you went through your experience, and like the story. It's like more realistic to like read, I guess. Yeah.
That makes me so happy to hear. And also, so when I walked into Sarah's house today, I saw both on her fridge and in her mirror in her room, she has my Lila definition cards.
Yeah.
And I love it. And they're hanging up in your house. That is so special to me. Yeah, I have one in my
wallet too.
My biggest supporter.
Literally. Your biggest fan.
That just actually made me want to tear up though. So oh my gosh, it's like
don't tear up, 'cause I'll tear up.
It's impactful to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, if that's all it was, if it like is helpful to one person, then it's done everything it needs to do.
Yeah. And like when I was a young girl, when I was little, I would like think about this stuff and like just read everybody's, like, you know, when Alexis Wren and her boyfriend were a thing, like in Hawaii, I was like dreaming of that life.
Oh, I remember.
And like when they were going to Bali and Thailand, and then like we met and I come across your blog. And I'm like, holy wow, like all this stuff is everything on my list that I want to do. And then there's somebody who experienced it writing about it into detail of like their own experience. And it's like how I would go about things. So it just felt very like connecting to me. I don't know. It was cool. Yeah.
I love it.
You're very impactful.
I have learned so much from you too, though. Like this episode is not about me. This is about you. And I just think that it's so funny because it's not that you're the first person that does this, but to me, when I ask somebody to be on the podcast, it's because I feel like they really have something important to say and like a really cool experience or something that other people could really benefit from learning from. But so often I get like, I mean, what would I talk about? Like, what? That sounds super cool, super fun, but like, what are we going to talk about? But the thing is that, like, you have really amazing things. You just don't think about it because it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because it's your life and you're just, like you said, you're just living life.
Yeah.
Like, what? But you have done something time and time again that is really hard for people to do, and you do it with resilience and you just figure it out. And that is starting a new life.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done that multiple times and you did it from a young age.
Yeah.
And I just feel like people could really benefit from hearing your experience in that and being an immigrant and learning English, going to school when you're 11 years old, living in a completely different country. So.
Yeah. I guess to me that's all normal, but it's not.
So, so
I think.
Where'd you grow up?
Okay, so I was born in Iraq.
Yeah.
I was there till I was about 11, and then my family immigrated to Michigan, and that was a tough process. It took like a couple years to even get accepted to come to America. And then once we were here, had to figure out life, this new life, and new friends, new culture. And I'm the oldest, so like I was the one like bringing in these new things and like new ideas into my family. So that was pretty tough on them, and it made it harder for me too, because they weren't like, they were more closed-minded because you know, they grew up in a different life. So them moving here is an absolute culture shock for them. But when you're younger, it's more easier for you to like integrate into and like be more mutable basically into new environments. But I think moving around a lot, even before we moved to America, helped me, like even now, to just the way I've been hopping around just this one island. I've lived in like 5 different places at like so many different points. And I think just like the constant change for me is what I look for. But people love stability, right? Yeah. But I grew up with like chaos and like never even knowing if I was gonna live or die sometimes, because there would be like threats, right? And just moving here kind of like gave me more resilience to keep going, and it gave me more opportunity to like be who I am, and more freedom, because if I were still to live in Iraq, I wouldn't be like this resilient and like I don't know. So, you know, when it came to the first time that you had to, well, I guess you said you moved around in Iraq a lot. Yeah. So, and I kind of like lost my train because I went back to it. Yeah. So jumping back to your life there, was it difficult to leave, or by that time how did you feel about going to the States? I was really excited, and I was like, oh, like new life in the States, and in my brain I'm thinking like Barbie, right? Because I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna like, and then like, you land in Michigan. Yeah, and I land in Michigan. So in my brain, I'm thinking like there's like flying cars, or like, you know, like electric cars and robots and stuff like that. I'm like, America, you know? Right, you're 11. Yeah, I'm 11. Come on now. I'm like, oh, I'm going to go there and be famous. Like, so yeah, like moving to America, I didn't know much English, so I had to learn. I went to 6th grade. It was like 6th grade, 7th grade, I think, in the States. And that was a little tough getting adjusted, because there were bullies and people who never saw an immigrant, like, you know, like just little kids. But that gave me also like even more, it toughened me up, basically. And it just made me want to do what people thought I couldn't do. And also, like, with my family, I felt the urge to be more of a rule breaker and just, like, the black sheep, basically, because I'm, like, breaking all these cycles and, like, doing these things that my family wouldn't even think of doing. And then moving here was really tough on them, too, because you don't see just, like the girl of the house doesn't just leave and live on her own in their culture, you know, like you stay home until you get married, basically, and then you get to leave with your new husband or whatever, you know, that's when you leave home.
And that's just not you.
Yeah, and that is just not me. I will never. So yeah, I really had to fight for my freedom, and I feel like moving here was just like the biggest blessing in my entire life, and my family still does have a hard time accepting that, but they see like how I move through my life and that I can survive, like, even on my own in a whole different place. And like, I don't consider Hawaii part of the States sometimes, because honestly it's not. It's kingdom. It's a kingdom of Hawaii. And just living here, like, even though it's English and stuff, it gives you like a little different feel, like you're not.
Oh, for sure.
And I was really drawn here because it's warm, and I was born in a desert, so and I cannot do in Michigan. Like they have like 4 or 5 inches right now
of snow.
So I'm not about it.
Yeah, feeling very grateful for your decision right now. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess to me, just like, my life is normal, and then my friends call me from back home, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're doing like the coolest things," and I'm like, "Oh," but they keep me going. Like, my friends are my biggest supporters, and I'm really grateful to have them because my family doesn't give me that same support.
Right.
And honestly, like, just having like the community around me and like people here that see my vision. And when I tell them what I'm doing, they're way more supportive, and they like open up these opportunities for me, and like someone has this and that going on, and like it just opens these doors. Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be where I am without the people that I met. And like, yeah, it's just so precious to just have like people around you that want to help you out. And
I feel that so much on the Big Island too. Like, and
that's how you survive here. Like, so, you need people.
You do need people, because that's part of what drove me away. Is I was really lonely, and I was around people a lot, but I was so lonely for my people back home and for that like deep connection that it's really hard when you move somewhere else to build that. Like, it takes time for friendships to build. Yeah. And to have that level with people. And so once it's been a few months, you kind of get in this zone where, at least for me, I was like, I feel like I should have more by now. Like, more community. I should feel more like what I'm not doing enough to get plugged in. But that stuff just takes time. Yes. And so that resilience to keep doing it over and over is incredible. But also, people on the island are just so eager to help each other out. Yeah. Like, I feel like once you do get kind of connected, if I say, "Oh, my friend Bree," then people are like, "Oh, I know Bree." Like, just the first name. Yeah. Yeah. And or people will say, "Oh, you do this. Like, I know somebody in this," or "I'd love to connect with you about that." Or they just, like, people just want to support each other. And
it's like a small, big community. Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, the Big Island, it's pretty big. Yeah. It's, you know, it's to drive from one side of the island to the other, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah. And so it's big for an island compared to some of the other ones, hence the name. And obviously,
but the people are more interconnected, honestly.
Even so, somebody knows somebody who knows them, or it's just, that's something that I feel even more now, is that now that I've come back, I realized I had more people here than I thought because I've had people to see.
Yes.
When I came back.
Yeah.
And we've kept in touch since I left, and that was really wonderful. But you're so right about, like, it's the people that keep you going.
Yeah.
And, then you do call a friend back home when you're feeling like you miss home.
Absolutely, yeah.
There are moments, I don't know, do you ever have moments when you're living away from home, or sometimes I get it when I'm traveling personally, but where I'm just like, I just need to teleport home right now. Like, I feel the itch. Like, I just miss home so much.
Yeah.
And it does feel good to go back, but I have to be careful not to be back for too long.
Okay, so I definitely know the feeling. I felt that, like, I felt it really strong when my first year of living here.
Yeah.
And I was missing home, and I was like, oh, like, I'm missing my siblings growing up, and, like, but then I went back, and everything is happening exactly the same as it was before I left. And, like, when I went there, I was observing it from, like, an outsider, because to me, it didn't feel like home anymore. I felt as if I was just floating, trying to find somewhere that, like, felt homey to me. And when I was going home, obviously I was just going to see my family, but I wasn't going home, like, to a feeling of home, I was just going to connect with my people, like, my roots. But then when I was there, I was just like, actually, like, I can go on my own and be okay, and they're doing fine. And they're living their life completely normal, and they're going to school and job and stuff like that. And I felt like I was missing a part of myself when I first moved here, which was my family. And sometimes I'll be sitting on a beautiful beach and watching a pretty sunset, and that feeling of, like, sadness almost, or, like, nostalgia comes in, and I'm like, wow, I wish my family was here to see this. Like, they're not here to watch where I'm looking at.
Right.
So that it does get sad. But, and honestly, when I first moved out, I didn't think I had the strength to be gone for so long. But then I got a one-way, and I stayed, and I've been here for 2 years. I never left. I went back to just see them, but I keep feeling pulled to be back here. And when I first left the island, I didn't, it wasn't like home to me. I didn't call it that. I was just, but then when I was visiting my family, I just felt this, like, emptiness too. I was like, wow, like, I actually have so many people back on the island that I care about, and that care about me. And everybody was, like, texting me, like, hey, when are you coming back? Like, where did you go? And I was like, wow, I've built such a big community around me over there. And at home, it's just, I didn't even
realize it.
I didn't even realize it till I left.
And I remember when I left, people said, oh, the Big Island has a way of calling people back. And I'm sure I'll be back.
Totally believe that.
I totally believe it.
Yeah.
If you
I didn't
build community.
Yeah, and when they were like, oh, the island will call you back, I had no idea what that meant. I was like, how does an island call you back? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get that? But it's just this feeling, like this urge that you just have to.
It's just time.
It's like a need, yeah. And honestly, every time I've come back to the Big Island, it's been a one-way. And I've had no idea where I'm going to sleep or have, any clue of where I'm going to be, like, putting my things down for a couple months, or even not, just hopping around.
Brave.
But it's been just people, like, beautiful people helping me. And, just the island just has a way of letting me stay. And it's just like this magic. I don't know. It's like otherworldly almost. I can't explain it. And like just even talking about it sounds like crazy to me. I don't know what word I would even use, but it's never a coincidence, anything that's happened to me. And it's always been at the right time. Like, oh my goodness, it's been crazy. Like, even like financially, I've had no idea sometimes how I would make it. But it's happened every time. Like, it's just, it works out. Everything works out just as it's supposed to.
And you definitely have found your way around a couple different situations on the island.
Oh, yeah.
But first of all, how'd you end up in Hawaii at all?
So what led me here was heartbreak. And that was just like my final push, basically, to follow my dreams. And so I got a one-way. And so, okay, I got broken up with on Valentine's Day.
Criminal
over the phone.
Criminal.
So that night I was like, okay, like now I just follow my dreams. I have nothing, nothing else to look forward to. So I booked a one-way, and then later that week I was just scrolling TikTok and like watching these travel videos, and just like watching Hawaii videos, basically, just of where I'm going, trying to feel a vibe. And I found World Packers. Someone was doing a video on that, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out. So I downloaded the app, and I was scrolling, and I found this little post, and it says that you stay in a tent outside, and you just you milk some goats, and you clear out like taro vines and stuff like that.
See, I'm pretty sure I might have seen something like that,
and it said the picture was really Android and like
the worst of it all.
So I picked it, and
there were so many more on there.
There were so many more.
Whatever it takes to get on the island.
Literally.
It's just a ticket into Hawaii.
It's
a
ticket
way to put your foot in the door.
Yeah. I was like, cool, I'll be there for like a week, and then I'll find my way out, right? So I show up. Actually, it was in a gulch in the middle of nowhere, and I didn't have a car. No one had my location. And previous to that, when I told my work people and just everyone around me that I was moving on a limb, on a one-way, they thought I was crazy, and they were telling me...
Typical?
They were like, oh, you're going to get, like, kidnapped, trafficked, blah, blah, blah. Just all the bad things, right? And when I landed, it was nighttime. Here's the story. So I landed at nighttime in Hilo Airport, and...
That's kind of crazy because didn't you live in Kona first?
Yeah.
So he drove all the way over here?
No, Lapahoi is only 40 minutes away from Hilo. It's in the second gulch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's literally in the gulch. So and so I get picked up, and I don't know the local life, right? So like I don't know, everybody drives like Yodas and like, shitty trucks that they think are new. So he comes and picks me up, and it's like this SUV, and it's a little raggedy, and I open the passenger door, and it smells, funky in there, and he looks like a wild farm man with like a stinky dog in the back. So I get in, I'm like, all right, here we go. No, yeah, and it was nighttime. You can't see anything. No palm trees, like no greens.
You can only see the lava fields.
Yeah, just
what did we do?
So he drives a mile off the airport, and then he pulls over, and he's like, hey, come check out my trunk. And at this point, I'm thinking, I'm going to die. I made it here, and now I die. And so I'm, like, praying in my head, like, dear Lord, please, like, this is not my night. And
at that point, you don't know if it's safer to stay in the truck or go
outside. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, do I stay in here, or do I go to the back, and maybe I can, like, run?
But what the hell is in the trunk?
So I walk back to the trunk. I'm like, all right, just take my fate with me.
No, but in the moment, it feels like I'm just going to go along with what this person is doing.
And I'm a girl. Like, come on. Like, all these, like, survival instincts start to kick in, or, like, these thoughts. And obviously the people back home telling me that I'm going to get kidnapped, right?
Right.
So I go to the back, and he opens up this tarp, and it's this big, fat, wild pig with a little baby right next to it. And mind you, this whole time, like 10 minutes out of the airport, everything's quiet. Like, I don't hear any screaming, right? And then as soon as he opens up this tarp, it starts fucking, like, squealing, like...
Yeah, because it's in the back of a truck.
And then, so I'm like, wow. And then so we laugh it off. He's like, wow, welcome to Hawaii. I'm like, okay.
Like, I thought I was going to get, like,
at this point, my heart is beating so fast out of my freaking chest.
You're just relieved.
Yeah, I get, oh my God. And then I tell him my thought. I'm like, dude, I thought you were going to kidnap me. Don't do that. So we drive 40 minutes, and then by this time, the little pigs are screaming. I think they, like, took a shit in the back.
Probably. They're terrified.
It's gross.
They actually did get kidnapped.
They actually did get kidnapped. Oh, my God. Yeah, so we drive, and we get there, and... next day comes, I wake up in this, like, beautiful fucking jungle, and it was really crazy. Like, I spent about 3 weeks there, and then that whole time I was just living. I was just existing, honestly. I would go down to the water and just sit there and, like just take in my life and what I just did. And I was also going through heartbreak, and that was like my first month of like,
and you're out
my first heartbreak,
the middle of nowhere on this island
by myself,
and it's not a walkable island.
No,
like it really isn't at all. No, you need a car here.
Yeah, and I didn't have a car. And I was just here,
this raggedy man.
Yeah, and I
living in a tent.
But no, I didn't live in a tent.
Oh, you didn't?
No. So it ended up being this big, beautiful, like, wood house. And it was 2 rooms. So the top room was mine. And it was some stairs down. It didn't have a door or anything. It was just, like, open. And then the stairs down had the kitchen. And then he stayed in this little room. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it ended up not being a tent. So... yeah, I was stoked.
So you thought, this is a win. I get my own room.
A win. I get my own room.
I don't have a door, but I got a bed.
Hell yeah.
I have a roof.
And and a beautiful jungle right behind my backyard.
So you were there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was there for 3 weeks. I was supposed to be there with another girl. Yeah. But the girl ended up finding another work trade. Mm-hmm. So she ended up we never met up during my time there. But she ended up being somewhere else. So it was just me and this guy. And he ended up just wanting a girl to hang out with. And by the end of it, it got creepy because I caught him looking at me through a shower window. And so by that time, and I don't have a car, right? I don't have a car, anything. I'm just trying to get through my heartbreak by myself in this. And
he's hoping that you'll do that with him.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Oh no.
I go on Tinder, as one does, in a foreign place.
Okay, on an island, Tinder is used for so much more than dating or hooking up.
Yeah. So not for hooking up. I download Tinder. I put it on boys and girls, and that was my first idea, honestly, because I was like, oh, like, people are on Tinder all the time.
And young people. Yeah, that's where you might find people and catch a vibe.
Exactly. And
see where they live.
Yeah. So I download Tinder, put it on boys and girls, and I put looking for roommates, like, hit me up ASAP. Mm-hmm. And swiping, and this normal guy texts me. This normal looking guy.
Oh no.
Let me.
I'm excited to hear what's next now.
So this normal looking guy texts me first. He's like, hey, I have an Airbnb. Or I have a bed and breakfast you can work at. Mm-hmm. I'm like, cool. So he drives an hour to pick me up just to go see it and check him out and make sure I'm comfortable. So, he drove an hour to pick me up. It was in Waimea. And he ended up living at the top of Buster Brown, like this beautiful, like, rolling hill at the top of this little town, and it was like this nice, like, mansion house looking thing. And so I was like, okay, cool, I can do it here. So I lived there for 2 months, and I escaped the weird man, and
the first
weird man. And then the second time around, this guy was pretty normal, but then he had his best friend move in after he came back from a trip from Thailand. And so his best friend just ended up being like this creeper that just wanted to sleep with me, and he would get mad that I wouldn't, put out.
Oh my God.
And mind you, like, none of these men that I lived with, I ever physically or romantically, like, it was just like knowing people, like,
you're just
I'm just trying to find a roof over my head.
You're just there to do a job, and that's the thing too, is like, you being pleasant or nice doesn't mean that he should get angry and be like, I don't understand why you won't sleep with me. Excuse you.
Yeah, excuse you. He's like, every girl dash friend that I've had has slept with me, so I don't understand why you're not doing that. I'm like, I'm not here for you. I'm just here.
It sounds like he's got a lot of other options then, if that's the case.
Exactly.
What's he so mad about?
So that ended up just being like, we got in like a verbal fight because I was just sick and tired of being like sexualized and just objectified, right?
And where you're living too.
Yeah, where
like you can't escape.
We were roommates.
And when you do a work exchange, you live where you work.
Yeah.
So if you don't have good relations with the people that you're working with or living with, like, it affects your whole life.
Hell, yeah. So I ended up leaving that place after 2 months. And I slept on my friend's couch for a month that I had met just like living in Waimea.
Mm-hmm.
And so I slept on his couch for a month, and then I got a DM on Instagram, and it was a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, hey, like, I have a room in Kona, and I'm a bachelor. I don't really hang out at the house, so you would just have it to yourself, and if you want to just take care of it, clean, I'll give you half the rent off. So I was paying $500 to live in Kona. And that is like not anything you know of. Like,
that's
living on
of.
Ali'i.
To live on Ali'i Drive, which is for if you haven't been to the Big Island, Ali'i Drive is the main road that takes you. It's along the ocean.
Yeah.
And it takes you right through downtown Kona. So that is somewhere that you can ever find somewhere to live for $500.
No, the least is like $9,000 or $1,000 or $1,200 for a box. But I had like a whole house to myself, basically.
But it was your box.
Yeah, it was my box. But this guy was cool. He was a manager at a hotel and stuff, but he was also an alcoholic. And honestly, I don't get influenced by people easily, and I think that if anything, I influenced them to be better. So I did kind of help him out a little bit, but there's only so much you can do, you know?
Yeah.
I lived there for a little bit, and then I met this girl through him, and we ended up moving in together because the guy ended up getting into like drugs and just bad stuff. Mm-hmm. And it made me scared to live there, so I left, and I moved in with this girl, this 27-year-old woman with a baby, with a 3-year-old. So I lived with a 3-year-old.
You're thinking safe.
I'm thinking
this
safe.
Is a woman. This is a mother with the child in the home.
Yeah.
This has to be my ticket.
Caring.
Finally.
Yeah, finally.
Peace.
But then
But she persists.
So I move in with her, and I'm not a fan of commitment to anything.
Word.
But we end up signing a
That's the end of the episode.
Bye. We ended up signing a 6-month lease, which I was not happy about, because I'm like, wow, okay, I have to like stay here now
for
6 months.
Yeah.
Where I was hopping around every couple months.
Every couple weeks,
every couple weeks, couple months.
Yeah.
But even then I felt like, cool, I can pick up and leave, you know? I only moved here with a backpack and a skateboard. And that's it.
A backpack, a skateboard, and a dream?
No suitcase. Yeah, just
seriously?
A dream. Yeah, no. Just my dream, my little backpack. It was my old swim bag. My old, like, high school swim bag. I put like, a couple shirts, couple pants, some socks, a sweater. And
so everything in here you have just bought here?
This house is fully furnished.
But I mean, like, all your stuff.
Oh, I don't have stuff. I just have a couple clothes. Like, oh my God, like, moving out made me the most unmaterialistic person in the whole wide world.
Moving will
like,
do it.
Yeah. And I just picked up a backpack. And I used to be, like, really territorial about my things because I shared a room my whole life until I moved out.
I get it.
So,
I shared
like,
a room with my sister growing up, too.
Yeah, I had
like,
no
this
privacy
is my
ever.
side. This is your side.
Yeah, so I would freak out anytime anybody touched my things or, you know. So moving out was just, like, this freedom of everything, stripping down, like, even my identity and, like, moving to a place where nobody knows me and I can just be a whole new person, go through my heartbreak, become a whole new, like, healed little girl. But yeah, I've grown up so much in these past 2 years. I feel like I've lived so many lives and I'm only 22.
It's crazy.
And I feel so much older. Like, I feel like I'm 30 years old sometimes. I don't know.
I feel like you're older than 22.
Yeah. And a lot of people think that too, but it's just like, I guess my experiences. And
you're just,
I grew up,
like, resilient, and you're just living.
That's my word, actually. That's my, like, life word, resilience. Really? Yeah, when I took
you're living it.
I took a yoga teacher training.
You did?
Yeah, and a 200 hour.
Yeah. So you could be a yoga teacher?
Yeah, I am, but I don't teach, so I'm not a teacher, I guess.
Okay.
But I could. So when I did that, it was a group of 5 women, and our teacher gave us each a word at the end of it. And mine was resilience. And I was like, that's my life word. And she gave it to me. Like, even
that's so special.
Yeah. And then after that, like, people just, they describe me in that way, like, without me even saying the word. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's cool. I like that. And yeah, I really resonate with that. It makes me really happy when someone recognizes that, like, value or characteristic, I guess.
Yeah.
In me.
Yeah, of course. Did you do your yoga teacher training?
I did it in Michigan.
In Michigan?
Yeah, right before I left.
Okay. Super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And you don't want to be a teacher, or you don't want to teach here?
No, not necessarily. I don't like big crowds. I'm not comfortable in teaching big classes.
Yeah.
But I do love to teach my friends, and
yeah. It was just something you wanted to do.
Yeah, just something
like,
I wanted to learn about.
Yeah.
And I did it. And I definitely want to go, like, to India and go to an ashram and stuff like that.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, it'll come soon. But I really want to focus on my clothes right now and settling in Hilo.
Yeah.
And now that I finally don't have a crazy life or, like, living.
Now you're getting settled in Hilo. You want to focus on your own, I don't know, businesses or hobbies.
Yeah, my own hobbies, I guess.
Yeah. But you do a couple of really cool things, and that you're really creative.
Yeah, I love to make clothes.
Yeah,
and jewelry.
And it's super cool stuff.
Thank you.
I'll link to it in the description of this.
Yeah.
I'll link to the page, because you do a lot of, like, patchwork, kind of.
Yeah, I do upcycled.
Yeah.
Upcycled work. It's all one of one, so I can't remake a piece.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love a good one of a kind.
For sure.
That's so special.
Yeah, and my brand is Authentically Sewn, because I feel like the word authentic is just such a big part of my life. And I like to be authentic in every way I can, and I try to, like, work towards that, being different. I guess it comes naturally, but it's just a cool word. I like.
It's something that you want in brand that you're going to support.
Yeah, absolutely.
Authenticity.
Yeah, and I want people to know that, like, the first thing they see, right?
Yeah.
So it is authentically sewn, for sure. I taught myself how to sew since I was, like, a baby. My parents got me a little toy sewing machine.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah, I was doing little patchwork, and then when COVID hit, I was like, what do I do? So I bought a sewing machine, and I started making clothes, and I felt like a little fashionista, like, designer.
Yeah, it feels good to wear something that you...
It does, yeah. And I didn't want to go to school. I dropped out of community college. It just wasn't for me. And I was like, okay, well, I can make clothes. And I started doing that. I started going to Goodwill, buying things and cutting them up. And I was posting them, and people liked them.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay. And my friends started asking, like, how much things were. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. So I had to, like, figure that out. And, yeah, it was cool. And then my goal was to be in the markets and, like, make it here. But I've had such a crazy living situation that I haven't settled here, but I've learned so much throughout.
Yeah.
That now I feel like Hilo is my settling into my life here, and like finally accepting the fact that I actually live here. Yeah. Because even for me, it's hard to believe, because I can so easily go back home to my family because they want me home, right? Right. And I don't have to pay rent there, so anytime anything goes south here, I can just be like, okay, bye, like, go back home. But I haven't, and I really want to stay, and it lets me stay, basically. Yeah. So I think everything's just worked out in the way that it's, like,
supposed to.
Yeah, it's supposed to. Yeah. And now I just have to basically, like, accept my life and not run away from it, and not keep moving, and just work on my dreams here.
Yeah. And you're it seems like you're always learning things. Like, you're doing the yoga teacher training and teaching or learning how to sew and make jewelry, and then on Kona side you had a ton of different kinds of jobs. I mean, like, when you were living up in middle of nowhere milking goats and all this stuff, that it's like you are constantly learning and growing, and that's what life is about. The good things in life. And so when you say at the beginning, when you said, I'm just living, it's like, yes, exactly, you're just living, and it's perfect. And
it is.
And
I don't have
this seems
a goal.
I don't want to speak too soon, but this seems like such a great spot to have that time when you're settling in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting grounded in your life here, and it seems like just such a great place
I'm in the heart of Hilo.
You're in the heart of Hilo, and it's a bit slower than Kona, and Kona's kind of slow.
And I can focus on myself. Yeah. And, like, in Kona, I felt like I was such a little hustler.
Because you kind of have to be.
Yeah, you kind of have to be. Your rent is high, your food, living, everything. So over there, I was constantly working and not really enjoying my creative time, or I would obviously find the beautiful moments and, you know, like the little Instagram snippets, but I think here my life is gonna be more slow, and like I can take time on my clothes and my own care, and still work and still make money to pay my rent, but I don't have to stress as hard. And I know that everything's going to be A-okay, like, perfect, great. But, yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast today, Sarah. This was so fun.
This was so cool.
I'm so glad that you decided to do it.
Thank you.
And I'm just so excited to share your story.
Yay.
I know that it's going to be helpful to so many people, because there's a lot of people that are out there that are scared to just
go, pick up and go.
And to say, I'm just living.
Yeah, I'm just living.
Like, so many times the way that we introduce ourselves, or people are like, oh, nice to meet you, what do you?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do I do?
I hate that question.
I swim in the ocean. I frolic in the sun.
Like, I
eat fresh mangoes. What do you mean, what do I do? Yeah, like, that's what I do. I be living.
Yeah, that's honestly I hate that question. What do you do? Like, it almost makes me like,
feel like there has to be a good enough answer.
Yeah, like, what do you expect me to tell you?
Yeah.
Like, I just live my life. And to some people, that may be a waste of time. Mm-hmm. Like, not having like a specific goal or something you're constantly running towards. I mean, I have long-term goals, obviously, but I'm not every day chasing like satisfaction from something. I'm just living.
And that's glorified so much, and something that I feel so much when I'm living on the mainland.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just going to wait a second because the train's going by. When I was in college, I lived in a house that was like maybe less than 100 feet away from a train track, and it would come by and it would shake the whole thing, and we got used to it. So it was fine. Like, we wouldn't really notice it anymore. But when other people would come to our house, they'd be like, we're like, oh,
at first
the train.
I thought it was earthquakes.
Yeah.
But it's not. But we do get like 80 earthquakes a day on the island. Did you know that?
You're kidding.
Yeah.
I've never felt one.
I feel them like twice a day.
Do you feel like you're tripping when that happens?
Yeah, but
because
I'm
they're
not.
So little.
Yeah, and then so I went to the knickknackery. Yeah. Right down the street. And I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, did you feel something this morning? Like, did you feel a shake, or am I just tripping? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, we get like 80 earthquakes a day, so you probably felt an earthquake. And I'm like, what?
And he knows that and still owns a knick-knack shop with breakables everywhere.
Oh my God. Isn't that ironic? It's all glass, like delicate, fragile glassware in there.
He's like, yeah, 80 earthquakes a day.
Okay. He's got like beautiful amber like tea set. Like, dude. Yeah.
Dang, I had no idea. They must be just that small.
Yeah, and also we live on a volcano, so
yeah.
It
makes
we're
sense.
Just at the top of it. Yeah. It just makes sense. Yeah.
But like, it's so easy to forget that.
I know.
Oh, we're actually all just living on a big volcano.
And honestly, when you do think about it though, like thinking about living here long term and stuff, that's resilience even doing that, because anytime it could just blow up, or
so
like,
true.
you know, you
like
never know.
When the lava starts pumping, people that live over a volcano,
like once it goes, you don't know, like the speed of
they have no idea.
The speed of lava is, we don't know. We have no clue. Like, yeah, there's like monitored science evidence and stuff, but like, you don't know. Like, anything could happen.
Yeah.
And,
but it's worth the risk.
Keep living. Keep on living.
Keep on living. Well, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you. Oh, that was so